what we do.
And we're live. Welcome back to another episode of Joe Boy's Companion series for The Bad Batch. I'm Pixel Nick, and this is your boy Mikey. Mikey, how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good, buddy. How you doing?
Not too bad. A little tired. A little bit too much yard work. Fun in the sun, if you will.
Yeah, definitely. Very nice weather compared to last weekend, but it's definitely a busy weekend for sure.
Yeah, summer. I don't know if it's actually summer yet, but it seems like it's in full swing. It's been toasty.
Yeah, your first few days for the AC over here.
Yeah, same. My basement stays this cold all the time, so when the AC runs, it's just extra cold down here. But it felt good today. But yeah, so we took to no announcement. We took last weekend off just because it was Memorial Day, and I think we were both equally busy. And plus, I think it kind of fits in well with these kind of mid-season episodes. Not that they're completely filler, but especially these two, it kind of worked out. They have some overlapping themes, right? The Batch, the boys, if you will, they basically they've linked up with this character, an old Jedi informant, if you will, named Sid, that Echo knew from the Clone Wars. And basically, I mean, a lot of this revolves around this character and essentially the Batch taking jobs for her. And that just leads to an array of adventures, too, so far. And they'll probably have a few more, I anticipate, as they keep going. It seems like to be a pretty settled theme for the mid-season arc, if you will. Have you been kind of appreciating maybe like the little connections they're making, or even just, I think it's a nice change of pace. It's kind of like a different, kind of like the Mandalorian, vibe, doing the jobs, kind of not bounty hunting, but they're taking jobs to get that money.
Yeah, I think, especially like you said, this is could be a long season for, so it's filler, but I think they're doing good with the character development.
Right.
I think in this, a little bit maybe for the overall story, it feels like, but especially like we're talking Wrecker, these two definitely seems to, they're moving his where I was like, oh, I didn't maybe think about Wrecker, could play a big part of that chip,
Yeah, they definitely keep kind of teasing that, and Wrecker more and more is a pretty big character. I mean, he's literally big, but they take the time to kind of push his story just a little bit each episode, more so than the other characters. Obviously, him and Omega, right? Hunter a little bit, but there's definitely something brewing there.
I was about to say we got the two more childlike characters got a little more development. It seemed like.
Yeah, maybe they need it.
Even like I said, giving her in this, she got Crosshair's room at the beginning of 5. She gets Crosshair's, communicator.
Got the comm link, Crosshair. He doesn't need it anymore, apparently. Obviously, Tecco is coming in with the sad blows. Yeah,
and then I know still no Crosshair.
Right.
I'm still waiting. I was like, okay, episode or 2, but they still, episode 5, they still haven't gone back. And we actually haven't seen Crosshair since he was, sitting on that table, right? After his shit got beat up. I think that's the last time we saw him. Or fight,
Yeah, basically, after they kind of escaped Camino there. I don't know if he's just busy doing Empire stuff these days. Or if, that might make sense because his mission to get them might be a personal vendetta in the grand scheme of the Empire, because the Empire still, I don't think, is particularly interested in finding the Batch. If anything, that's just kind of a Crosshair vendetta. Other than that, he's probably just doing orders and doing missions for the Empire, I would guess.
Yeah.
But, what's that?
Said probably he's got to, because he follows the orders, right? So he's got to wait until they tell him he can go get the Batch.
Yeah, and they just need that reason. I just don't think they have that yet. But obviously, we have some people after the Batch, right? Because the last episode 4, we got Fennec after them, and we learned a little bit more about that in episode what was it? Was it 5? 5 at the end of 5? Is that how that ended? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. They do the mission for her, and she reveals, it's like you said, the people who hadn't watched Mandalorian you know who it was, but nobody in the show yet knew who she was until the end of episode 5.
Right. Yeah. Wow. So yeah, we have episode 5 here, and I mean, it's definitely it's a cool, fun episode. We have a lot of kind of like reoccurring or returning characters that they're reusing. A big one I kind of wanted to point out was obviously the mission is to go save or rescue Muchi, who we just know is a child, right? From these, I guess it just slipped my mind there. Zygarians. I was thinking Trandoshans. Yeah. Those are different. Zygarian slavers. And Zygarians are fun because they were actually in a couple episodes in the Clone Wars where Anakin, Ahsoka, and Obi-Wan, they go basically to the home planet of the Zygarians, and they kind of like, I think they essentially just like take down their little slave empire, right, during the Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. So, and you get a little bit of that dialogue from that main Zygarian. You can kind of hear him off camera. He's kind of saying like, this will be like our first start to like rebuilding our slave empire, because the Republic's gone, the Empire's around, Empire obviously doesn't care, things like that. Yeah. So I thought that was cool. Good use of the Zygarians. And essentially they have Muchi and they have to go rescue Muchi. That's the bounty. That's the mission. Mm-hmm. And it's all on the same planet, Ord Mantell, and they basically just fly to the other side to go do this. And Ord Mantell is a cool planet for them to kind of head to, right, to meet this Sid character to pick up this job. It's been in a lot of different Star Wars content, especially like kind of in mention, but it's also been in Knights of the Old Republic. Nice. I believe the first one you go there, but just a lot of different things they're drawing from. They just keep things familiar, and I do like that. So they head to Ord Mantell. Echo knows this informant named Sid. He used to inform for the Jedi. And you get a cool little scene where they're kind of like in this basement cantina kind of place. There's like some slot machines or like some gaming machines, real low, like not really a big crowd. There's just like a handful of them in there. Sid trying to, quickly gives them like stiff arm, like, I don't know who that is. But for some reason though, Echo was just like, hey, you're Sid. And I thought that was interesting. I don't know if that was, do you think that was because of some sort of, like, because she has like sensitivities to just knowing things? Like, I couldn't quite place like why she just knew it was Sid.
Yeah, that's what I felt. I was like, it must be like another force sensitive thing. I was like, either that or she just had a hell of a tell. Because like, if Hunter doesn't know who Sid is, how the hell does Omega know who that is? So yeah, I took that as it's her, like, she got like, no, you're Sid, like.
Yeah, she just must look like she runs the place, and that's who they're there to see. And very quickly, I like Sid. Sid's kind of like this, the old lady that like runs the, like her own little mob circle. Like she's way more dangerous than she looks or leads on to be. And she's just always super witty. She has a lot of good lines, I think.
Yeah.
So she's the one that gives them the job to go get Muchi. And very quickly they head to the other side of Ord Mantell, and the batch is doing their thing. They're doing the kind of like sneak up on the situation, kind of gauge what's going on. They tell Omega to stay behind per usual, but to their benefit. But the short of it is, they get captured, and they're all chained up, and Omega heads back to the ship, and she's modifying her little clone doll or whatever to make it one of the batch. Then the slavers show up, she hides, but then now she's privy to the fact that they're probably captured now. And there's a lot of, the creatures, I think it's like a Zarbrek, something like that. The flying creature that the main Zygarian was handling. Those things are really cool. They were also in the Clone Wars because that's just kind of like what's on that planet that they're from, that they ride into kind of like battle. And they remind me of, and I wonder if they are this. I don't think they are, but they remind me of stuff from Legends at this point. But basically, Darth Bane, he essentially mastered one of those, and like, I don't think it was one of those because they're like part of the Zygarians, but just like these large beasts that they kind of bring in, like, we're in Star Wars, there's ships, it's spacey, but there's still this like cool element where there's creatures, right? Still, and I think that's always just like a fun thing to have in there. So like, it's all very futuristic kind of, but it's a very organic world where there's still people riding on creatures. We have swoop bikes, so I always like seeing those kind of things.
Yeah, very Star Wars. Even go back to Empire, right? The big battle, a lot of machinery and stuff.
Yeah,
but end up cutting open the tauntaun in front of it. And
yeah, that's a recurring theme, and I just like that. That's always just kind of there, and I feel like we don't always think about that. Just in that, I think that's just part of the naturalness of Star Wars, how it's just kind of using everything it has at its disposal in these worlds to make things fun and cool.
It's very cool, because in a galaxy far, far away, sometimes it's futuristic, and sometimes it's almost primitive,
right,
or medieval and stuff. So it's awesome to how they're able to go through all these different settings and use, like you said, it could be technology, could be ships, could be monsters, lizard, So definitely cool. Like, it's definitely, like I said, it just has a Star Wars feel to me.
Yeah, and this place that Zygarians are hanging out at is like these ruins, and it kind of looks like ancient ruins, or it's just like another like city that just got like bombed out. But they're kind of hanging out amongst these ruins, and you get to see a little bit of them, or you see a lot of them later. But the way Omega's kind of like traversing them, where she's trying to rescue them and stuff. And to that point, like she goes to rescue them. She's trying to get to their gear, and they're aware that she's in the area. Coincidentally and to their benefit, but she knocks down a rock, kind of alerts some Zygarians. Wrecker does like a cool, like one-legged kick, like soccer kick of like a rock. It just like knocks one of them down. Just a little distractions. They're kind of giving her time to get there, but she falls down and she gets in front of this cage, and she can see what's in the cage, but we can't see in the cage. We're kind of like from the perspective of the thing in the cage. Well, she gets captured, and her witty line there is basically she was able to unlock it to everyone's dismay. And what comes out is, I'm pretty sure you recognize this, as I think a lot of people did, and it was a baby Rancor. This is, they're giving a little bit of backstory here to a known character, and I thought that was fun. That's fun to toss in there.
Because personally, my favorite is Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
So when I saw that, for me, I was like, oh, hell yeah, because it's a baby one, but I could tell. And I have seen some things on the internet since that people think that is the one that Luke kills, but I've heard that it has a different name as well. But either way, it's cool, especially I think at this point we don't, or did they reveal that it was actually Bib at this point? I'm trying to think back since we're, but that and Bib Fortuna, for me, I was like, hell yeah, like, remember you thought Jabba could come into play, so.
Yeah, you got the Gamorrean guards. Bib Fortuna walks in there, and the Rancor too. Like, you don't even have to see it; you just have to hear it. Like that scream that it makes is just so good. Very, very classic Star Wars audio cue is a Rancor yelling. But yeah, so I mean, unless they had gone through a few of these Rancors and perhaps Muchi was just the first that died, and then the Rancor that Luke ends up killing is a different one. I don't think I would just go ahead and say like this is the Rancor that eventually grows up and becomes the one that dies by Luke's hand.
Yeah.
Though I was surprised how much Bib Fortuna was kind of like it's like knew it, or like it seemed like that he knew Moochie.
That's what like I was getting the vibe that it was like taken from them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like you know, that it was actually, you know, their property already.
So maybe Jabba was in the business of breeding Rancors, and these Zygarrians like kidnapped one or something. Could be the case, but I don't know. But yeah, that was all a fun little intertwine there, and you kind of, you know, you learn that in the fight that follows, right? The Rancor, and that's the Rampage, and that's the episode title, is where we get this rampage of this Rancor all through these ruins and really tearing up these Zygarrians. They really aren't too much of a match for it, and you know, Wrecker keeps referring to this this child that was actually there by chance as Moochie, and then finally like its dad or whatever was like, no, this isn't Moochie, that's Moochie. So that was funny.
Yeah.
And we get this whole rampage scene, and you know, the batches, you know, everyone's just kind of fighting everyone, but you know, Moochie seems to be like for the most part leaving the batch alone. Obviously he was just pissed at the Zygarrians this whole time, obviously for being captured. And then you have this like main Zygarrian trying to, you know, get the up hand by having his little flying dragon pet thing, and all that. And in this too, but you know, what I did want to point out was I thought it was really cool that one of the Zygarrians dropped this energy bow, and Omega finds it and she picks it up and kind of sees it. It's interesting, but this essentially becomes like her weapon. Like she got her weapon finally. And I don't think she's carried a blaster and stuff before, but like I just feel like she found her weapon in this episode. And they made that very clear when she picked that thing up. Yeah,
like, you know, like we said, she got the, you know, communication device that was crosshairs and stuff like that. Like you said, this, you know, like everyone has their weapon, right? Han's blaster, you know, that's Han's blaster.
Yeah.
You know, the blue lightsabers, Obi-Wan's, you know. So it's cool. Yeah, that's what I thought too. I was like, oh, she finally got her weapon. So.
Yeah, and it's a cool, I don't know, she's just such a unique character, because even from like her appearance to even when she wore like the Kaminoan like headpiece, things like that, like just the ornate nature of this energy bow, right? It doesn't look like a blaster. It has this like golden bronzy ornateness to it. It's kind of intricate, and just the way it works, it reminds me of like if you were to like have an Atlantean like energy weapon, almost like, you know, something like that.
In some reading I was doing, I thought they said, isn't that weapon has been used in Star Wars before, the bow? Oh man, I can't. They showed a picture of the people, and they were in like red robes, almost looked like the devil or something. I think it was from one of the comics. Because I had wondered if this bow, and I was looking it up and stuff, and I can't remember. I thought someone said that it had already existed before.
So, okay, so what you're referring to looks like that there is a variant of these energy bows that the Night Sisters on Dathomir used.
Okay.
Yeah, so that makes sense to what you're saying.
Because because when I read, I'm like, oh, I was like, so I didn't know if it was that one or not, but that's what I didn't know if it was kind of like how the Jedis that, you know, have lightsabers.
Mm-hmm.
If certain people use that bow or not, like, you know.
Okay, so yeah, it appeared in basically the Night Sister arc in the Clone Wars. It's like a 4-episode arc. So that now that you say that does make me remember that they did have weapons like that. I don't remember it being quite like that. I think it's noted that this is like a Zygarrian version, but definitely, the energy bow thing, you're right. It looks like it was a Night Sister thing.
Yeah, because I don't remember a lot of bows in Star Wars besides Boba Fett had one, right? Was it kind of like a like a pistol bow, sort of.
Chewbacca has a bowcaster.
Yeah, because that's
yeah, he has a crossbow that's more like a blaster, and like that's why I like this. I like these the Sigarian energy bow because it's like ornate and stuff. Whereas like Chewie's bowcaster is more so like a blaster that just has like a bow-esque element. Wow, I completely forgot that. Yeah, the Dathomirians, they have these energy bows and stuff. It's just a cool weapon. It's unique. You don't see it a lot, and it's only it's used very narrowly. So I think it's cool that they donned her with a weapon. It's also a unique weapon, which fits her very well.
And I thought, like you said, the energy part, I was like, I don't know if it, but I was like, oh, since we're trying to figure out if she's force sensitive and stuff, I was like, it's almost in between like a Jedi weapon and a bad batch. So I thought, I didn't know if it was. I was like, oh, it's kind of cool. You're so like, is it gonna,
Yeah, and I guess Omega, it makes her kind of like Legolas like. She's kind of like elf like in a way, and so like here she is with the bow now, so that kind of like fits.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was happy to see that little bit added in there, and then so they're continuing. She picks that up, and they're able to get the other group, the other slaves other people that were captured away. But I did think it was interesting, but I don't think it fits. So like there was 3 other people there that they had captured, and 2 of them were obviously together, but there was the 3rd one that was a human, and he was kind of heavy set, right? A little chubbier. And I thought maybe that was the handler for the Rancor in episode 6. Like, remember the one that comes in crying after Luke kills the Rancor?
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe that was him, but he just leaves, and I that's where I thought that was going, but he just kind of dipped, and then Bib was kind of like showing all the affection, like he knew Moochie. So I was thinking, I was like, oh, okay, there's Moochie. That's the Rancor. That's he's with it, but I guess not. I thought about it, but it didn't happen.
That would have been nice. Yeah.
I was like, it kind of fits.
Yeah.
Kind of pale, heavy set human, obviously a lot younger, and that would have been like a really cool detail to add there.
Have him run out all happy that it's saved instead of crying.
Yeah, because that's just such a deep cut reference, because it's only like 3 seconds in Return of the Jedi, but they just George just wanted to add this crying fat guy over the death of the Rancor. Who just sleeps who sleeps in the dungeons of Jabba's palace. That's what he looked like. He looked, he just looked like he slept in the Rancor's cage.
Yeah.
But and then also like where Wrecker kind of redeemed himself as far as the combat thing goes, because he like one-on-one Moochie.
Yeah,
they got that little slap fight.
That was probably my favorite scene of the show, just because we know a Wrecker that thinks he can fight gorillas and bears and shit.
Yeah,
but that was definitely cool. That he had to fight the Rancor for dominance to get it to go. And then at the end they're just like,
it's super slow. They're both tired and like they're missing.
Yeah, like I said, for my that I love Return of the Jedi, but seeing the Rancor, and that kind of comedic, with Wrecker, I like that. I enjoyed it.
Baby Rancors are comedic looking things.
Yeah, and then I thought too, I was like, we already know Wrecker is just Wrecker. But I thought too, kind of showing how we're talking about the chip part too, showing if he can beat a Rancor just hand to hand.
Yeah.
Kind of showing what Wrecker really can do.
Yeah, it's just strong suit. Obviously, like, I don't know, he's gotten the short end of the combat stick for like past few episodes. So I was just happy to see him, really showcase his abilities and tame the Rancor more or less, which was an important part of this episode because that was the mission.
Yeah, looking at him, he's freaking riding it like when they at the end when they're heading back. It's fucking riding it. It's all happy and stuff.
So that's like where the whole Bib Fortuna scene comes in, and then obviously Bib was upset because Sid had not delivered the Rancor yet, but then you hear the yell, and Omega's riding the Rancor back. Obviously has already established a bond with it, and that's even like a force sensitive thing too, right? Just like establishing bonds with creatures and things like that. That's actually like a force power in like video games and stuff. So
she essentially has bonded with every person she's one-on-one with, even Crosshair.
So I mean, I think that's like, it wasn't a lot of depth there. There's a lot of just kind of like nods to obviously like Zygarians, the energy bow, little bit of color politically as far as like slave trading policy in the galaxy. Empire doesn't seem to care. Obviously not. They enslaved the entire Wookiees, unfortunately. So
I was gonna say, isn't it when they show up? Isn't it Omega? She's like slavery, or one of them. Like slavery is illegal, and he's like, I don't know. The Empire's in charge now. So
Echo's funny. He's always acting like all the rules of the Republic are still standing, because he's like the Republic, they outlawed slavery, and they're like Republic's just are not a thing anymore.
They were just like
sorry, Echo.
He's
just all for the Republic. He won't let it go. That is his programming. But and then we get this is one of my favorite Sid lines, where she's like, Bib goes off with the Rancor, and the Batch kind of says, she's like, you dark and broody, my office. Talking to Hunter, dark and broody Hunter with his like half his face painted and just always just upset about something.
I like that. I did like that line too.
That's just like her person. I can't place like what character like she's based on. But I feel like there's a lot of different characters out there that are like her. She's just like this tough chick who's been around and runs the show.
Like someone I was reading, they made a mention, and then I thought about it. When Luke shows up to Dagobah, Yoda's like, no, I don't know Yoda.
Oh, true.
So I don't know if it was just kind of like a little call back to that or what, because I remember I had to ask you, I didn't know if she was from Clone Wars or Rebels or anything like that, because it seemed like she would already exist to me. So I was a little honestly surprised to find out that she wasn't.
I like to think she doesn't.
I don't.
She's just in the Bad Batch as far as appearing in things.
And that's what too. And that's what too. She's helping the Batch, but it's like she has that personality and stuff, and for what she does, well, if somebody gives her enough money for information on the Bad Batch, I think she'd turn them in. So it's kind of interesting because they end it when she's like, when they show her it's Fennec, and she's like, if she's after you, you must be pretty important. And he kind of gives her a look, and she's like, don't worry, I won't say.
I'm good at keeping secrets.
For the
right price.
But now I kind of feel like she's saying that too, like she has the Batch.
I think she might turn to a character that genuinely likes the Batch, and will stay on their side. And I think that's just in her. That's just part of her MO for sure, to like give that like hard time to the dark and broody guy. She probably has a crush on Hunter, to be honest. But so the final scene in this episode is she's like figured out who it is. It's Fennec Shand. Fennec Shand is a newcomer kind of in the bounty hunter scene, which makes sense because where she is in the Mandalorian, she's much younger here, but she's pretty good though still, and she's working for a direct commission. So that would mean that it's sourced through the Bounty Hunter Guild, but she's working directly with the client on this. So obviously a client that has money, is willing to work direct and pay a good bounty hunter, specifically a single bounty hunter, not just like to the guild, contracted one bounty hunter. This is going off based on how the guild works in The Mandalorian a little bit. But yeah, and Sid's basically saying like, you must be pretty, valuable or special for someone to be after you guys like this, and that leads in the conversation you're just kind of explaining. So, we get a little bit of color here as to, or clues to who might be after the batch. And I think it lines up still to be the Kaminoans. I think it's still, it fits the bill, right? Kaminoans are very private. They're very direct dealing. So I just feel like they would be someone to hire a skillful bounty hunter like Fennec directly to go after the batch. Why? We still don't know, just because we haven't, gone back. We haven't seen the Kaminoans. We haven't seen Crosshair, like you said. So it still lines up to make sense to be the Kaminoans just trying to get Omega back, I suppose. But they let them go in the first place. But I think that was just them trying to protect Omega at the same time. So I still think it fits. I mean, is that where you think you're?
Probably that. That's what I was thinking. I was like, it feels like it. So I think it's either obvious or they're, like, we're sitting here thinking it's got to be them. So I'm kind of waiting for like a twist. Yeah. But that's what, it seems like, with the information we have, like you said, it's pretty, the last couple have been just batch, the Bad Batch. We haven't gone back, to anyone else or stories or anything. So, we're getting the clues and stuff through all the information the batch is getting and stuff.
Right.
And then you notice too, like Sid has, like, if you look around her stuff, around her little office, whatever you want to call it, she's got some artifacts. And there's a Mandalorian helmet in there and stuff, so I did pause a little bit, try to so it's in there. I think her role, like, I feel like it's gonna be big, whether it's just the next like 3 or 4 episodes or
she tells him
she's giving him the missions now, so they kind
now
they have something kind of tying them down for the first time since they left. So if people find out they're working for her, they're not as much on the run, it feels.
Right. And that goes back to like, at the beginning of the episode, Omega asks why they're going to Ord Mantell. If they're trying to lay low, why would they go to like a city or a new planet? And Hunter is kind of like, well, as long as there's a bounty hunter after us, we can't really lay low. Yeah. And then Sid there remarks that, if you got someone like Fennec on your tail, you're gonna need friends and you're gonna need money, but mostly you're gonna need money. But she loses the friends, and I feel like she probably might become like that ally of theirs amongst others. So and then I think that's a nice thing how these 2 episodes play together is that I confuse them a little bit at times just because they're a lot overlapping, but the next episode here, Decommissioned, I think definitely bleeds into more direct kind of like arc trajectory. So like obviously Rampage, I feel like is a good setup for this mid-season arc, and then Decommissioned here, episode 6, really kind of starts pushing forward the kind of side narrative that they're pushing along the way as they tell these like individual batch stories. And we do have a comment from a little bit ago. Mike, he said, Space travel to untold galaxies and people living in mud huts. Yes. My response to that is still, people here have Lamborghinis and internet, and people in Africa still live in mud huts. So not everywhere is equal, Michael.
You come to our neck of the woods. And, I've seen some nice ass cars sitting outside some shitty trailers. So.
Right, yeah. Mud hut because I live on a desert planet, but I happen to have a very nice spaceship.
Oh yeah.
But that's his pain. That's how he feels about it. He just thinks everyone just should have real nice houses, I guess, in Star Wars. Heck no. Heck no, this place is rough. This place is used. Anyway, still here on Ord Mantell, episode 6 kicks off, and they're hanging out in Sid's bar. You know, I'm really liking Sid here. It's their new, like you said, they're kind of, it's grounding them. Well, they kind of have like a little hub here. They got a place to hang out. They got Sid's bar.
Yeah, and it's got like the feel, right? Like we're like almost like you expect Han to be in the booth or something like that.
Right. Yeah. And it opens up here with Omega kind of getting some bow or just shooting lessons from Echo here. And Echo definitely is, you know, he's a good teacher. I mean, he's a clone. He very trained in combat and things like that. Always one, just like many clones, but particularly him, like just one for like, these are the rules, these are the procedures, like this is how you become better, this is how you do it. So he was definitely kind of playing the teacher here. And meanwhile, you have this Weequay and an Ithorian kind of just hanging out in the bar, and they're just kind of like taking bets on if she makes the shot or not. And there's a good little bit here just where she's like, I was doing fine until like these two like showed up, and Echo's just like, distractions, like big part of it is you got to learn how to tune out the distractions. So just some good life lessons here from Echo.
It gave me vibes of Luke with the lightsaber, like when he's training. It would have been cool if they kind of had that floating ball that shot the lasers that he was shooting at. But it came, you know, obviously Echo is not quite Obi-Wan, but like you're saying, you know, but I kind of got that kind of like, you know, I didn't know if that's what they were going for, but it definitely felt like Luke, you know, practicing with the lightsaber to me.
Well, like a lot of things in Star Wars, especially like newer Star Wars, they always like to do the nods back to things. So I think that definitely could fit as like a nod back to like when Luke was first learning to use the lightsaber. That definitely is a reoccurring theme in things. So, you know, here we are though, and Sid has another job for them. And this one's just kind of like a off the cuff, just unrelated job for them, because they need money, and she knows this, and she needs a good people to go carry out the contract. And you know, her and Hunter got this kind of repertoire going on where he's like, I'll think about it. And I think he said at the end of the last episode, he's like, I'll think about it. And she's basically, her whole stance in this scene is just like, well, yeah, of course you're working for me. I just told you that. Like, she was like, you're going to take the job. And he's like, well, I guess we'll take the job. She's like, I know. I just told you you're taking the job. So, kind of leans back to also, you know, the other episode, she was, you know, saying Omega's the smart one, or making jokes where like Wrecker said something. She's like, oh, it talks. Basically, she's just, they're dumb clones to her, basically. They're not the sharpest tools in the shed. No. So they, the job though, is they have to go get a tactical droid. And a tactical droid is from the Clone Wars, and also episodes, they're in episode 2, I'm pretty sure, or episode 3. Can't remember if they actually show up in the movies. I think just like a very, just like appearance, but they're definitely in the Clone Wars. And tactical droids are basically like the battle droids that all the battle droids listen to. And they just kind of carry out the tactics and procedures, and they're kind of like the brains of the operation, specifically in like battles and stuff. So that kind of ties into the title of the episode being Decommissioned, and essentially the batches, they have to go to a decommissioning plant on Corellia, which is Han Solo's homeworld, and we see a good bit in the movie Solo. And Corellia is mentioned in a ton of things. It's obviously in Solo, and it's a I think it's a core world, and it's just a pretty hopping place. It's a big part of the Star Wars universe, especially when it's Solo's homeworld. But it's an industrial planet. They got shipyards there, all that kind of stuff. So essentially, we're getting a little bit of color here into this post Clone Wars world, and the battle droids are being decommissioned. They're being broken down, melted, gotten rid of, because the Separatists are all kind of defeated. Palpatine kind of made sure that they all got wiped out. Episode 3, Anakin goes and just kills all of the leaders. So there's just a bunch of clunky, clanky battle droids that just need melted down. Well, people are after the tactical droids because on their way there, Echo or Tech make it a point to kind of say how, tactical droids were good at defeating clones. That was kind of like their job. Well, now that the clones work for the Empire, that intel's it's a hot commodity. So they're off to Corellia to get this tactical droid. And speaking of nods back to the original trilogy, they attach the Havoc Marauder to the underbelly of what was basically a cargo ship. And I can't recall where I've seen this cargo ship before. I'm pretty sure it was in Clone Wars season 7, but it's basically just like a ship that has all the containers on it, just like we would have a ship, container ship. But basically they're like, oh, this old trick, and it works just about every time. And Tech's like, yeah, it's gonna work. But this obviously nod back to lots of different things in Star Wars. But I think like the first time is Han attaching the Valken to the back of a Star Destroyer, right? When he went out and he floated away with the trash, and that's where Boba Fett ship locked in.
Is that Empire?
Yep, that was Empire.
Yeah.
So, yeah, little nod back there. That's always a fun maneuver. For whatever reason, it works very well. You used to go invisible when you attach yourself to another ship. But yeah, so pretty seamlessly, they kind of get down on Corellia's surface, and they make quick work of just like getting right to it, So they infiltrate this factory. They avoid some police droids, which are basically just like battle droids, but they look a little bit more humanoid-esque, a little less battle droid-esque. And they get in there, they're kind of avoiding everything. Omega kind of stays back, and Hunter just kind of tells her to wait and look for the target. Just keep an eye on the belts because it's somewhere in here. Wrecker gets told that he has to go take the high point and keep an eye on everything. He's like, oh, that was Crosshair's job. And he's afraid of heights, so he wasn't too thrilled about this, but he did it. And Hunter, Tech, and Echo, I think they all go to the control panel, and they're just going to work on just figuring out where everything is, just make sure they have a handle on the situation. And essentially, I can't remember if did Wrecker have did he already have his little spasm where his head hurt?
He was having them kind of the last couple episodes, but I think once he gets up high, he falls, and then he really hits it and starts. He's like a good soldier. He starts saying a good soldier.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, that'll happen in a little bit. I just couldn't remember if he already had. I think that was the last episode or at the very beginning of this episode. He kind of held his head, and Hunter is like, "You okay?"
Yeah, they kind of. I think subtly, he's been rubbing his head.
Yeah.
More and more. So I think it seemed like out of all of his chip is, being activated sooner than the other, or they still have the potential to activate him or something like that. Yeah.
So and Omega, she is kind of keeping a lookout. She spots a tactical droid, its body and its head, on the conveyor belt, and basically she radios that in, and I think it was Tech. He asks, is the head still in one piece? And she's like, yeah, and he's like, cool, and basically she goes in to retrieve it, and then what happens here is into the mix, disguised as kind of the plant workers, is the Martinez sisters, and they are from a 4-episode arc, basically 1/3 of season 7 of the Clone Wars, in which Ahsoka Tano has adventures with these two, and it's a pretty it wasn't people's favorite arc, but it was very important to kind of build Ahsoka's character arc post leaving the Jedi Order, and the Martinez sisters kind of help her really kind of frame a reference what the rest of the galaxy is like when you're outside the Jedi Order. Because the Martinez sisters are kind of like these smugglers. They're kind of con artists. They're just kind of like living on the streets. Their parents got killed by a Jedi. A Jedi was doing a Jedi thing and like doing a mission or something, and their parents were basically collateral damage of a Jedi activity. So they essentially really dislike the Jedi, and that's all kind of part of that arc. But here we have the Martinez sisters also after this tactical droid. So through a great combination of things, they're trying to get the tactical droid head. So is Omega. So is Hunter. The alarm sounds and the building goes into lockdown because they're spotted, and then we just have like tons of tactical or police droids kind of pouring in. And there's a lot of police droids. I feel like, I mean, they were just wasting them left and right, and there's just more and more coming in. So there's a lot. I felt there was a lot. It was heavy on the police droids. They might as well just have had battle droids at this point. But yeah, I mean, there's just basically a lot of chaos in this whole thing. Omega gets stuck on the conveyor belt. Hunter and the one Martinez sister, Rafa, they kind of like square off, but then team up and like just kind of help each other up out of that situation. This is also in this where Wrecker has his little breakdown, and basically he got shot at. And he like fell and hit his head, and that's where we get the little tick come back to where he said like it took forever, and I was waiting for him finally say it, but he only ever said really half of it before he passed out.
Yeah,
right. And he's like good soldiers fall, and he like passed out. So that's a thing, and he hit his head, and basically, I don't think anyone is activating his chip. But it's trying to activate itself. Yeah. Wasn't sure. Like,
I think once he starts in, it's Crosshair's voice, kind of repeating that. But when he comes back to it, I think it was, and that. So I don't think it was like him talking to him, But it definitely seems like Wrecker may change in the,
right.
Control in the next few episodes.
Yeah, and there's gonna be a situation with Wrecker where, I thought maybe it was gonna happen here. I mean, a little bit because they're but essentially it's gonna happen where they're gonna be counting on him, or they're gonna be in a tight situation, and basically it's gonna turn south for them because Wrecker loses control here.
Yeah, and that's after watching this episode. To me, it made the Rancor part more important from the previous episode because they have to get Wrecker to beat that thing, right? They're like, Wrecker, go, Go. So who are they going to have go beat Wrecker?
Yeah, right.
So that's what I'm kind of curious to see now. I don't know necessarily if him and Crosshair will be there at the same time, but what are the other three in Omega going to do to stop Wrecker? If he just is, that dial's turn.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see the situation they're in. I'm inclined to say that Crosshair is not going to be there.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think Wreckers will be his own individual. Like, I think they'll be in the middle of a mission, and for whatever reason, they'll activate it, and they're going to have to try to figure out on the fly what to do with Wrecker.
Yeah. And so, yeah, the police droids just kind of count him as like a kill, or he's like down and out, and they just kind of leave him alone. He's just passed out high up on the scaffolding or on the walkway. And, it kind of continues on. Omega almost basically does fall into a pit that drops and melts itself. But the Martinez sister saves her effectively. They kind of all group up at this point. Tech and Echo are just fending off waves of police droids over at the kind of like command console. But it does come down to Wrecker was trying to, override the lockdown. And luckily he was able to get that done and basically reverse the lockdown, which kind of allowed them to commence in this escape from the facility. But also to do so is, they kind of they jailbroke the tactical droid, and they were able to reactivate a bunch of the battle droids, and they just had this like really cool scene where the battle droids turn and fight with them, and Echo even makes sense. Like, I don't think I would have ever imagined this being a thing.
Yeah.
Because, Echo's had a lot of bad experiences, battle droids and all that stuff. That's how he kind of became the way he became. But they have this like cool sequence of them kind of blasting their way out of there. There is lots of dialogue, with Rafa, Martinez, and Hunter, and them kind of getting out of there. And Rafa's kind of like the more gritty, kind of like ruthless one, and then her sister Trace is a lot nicer, or a little more kind-hearted, and she's the one that saves Omega. So they get out of there. Lots of fire, just lots of police droids. They all get blasted down, and they get aboard the Martinez sisters ship, and they kind of just take off and they go land over at where the Havoc Marauder was. And we get an interesting exchange here where Hunter and Rafa, they essentially, and this is where it gets interesting, is where Tech got the whole tactical droids like downloaded all the information to the stick, the thumb drive, the really big USB. It's weird that's a stick. Can't be smaller, but or bigger. But he gives it to her and basically says, you're going to be doing this for the right reasons, because they had a whole conversation of like, why do you want it and what are we doing it for? And Hunter, jumping back to like other episodes where we're kind of looking at Hunter's more moral compass of the galaxy here, where he even says like it was easier being a soldier, where you just had orders and you did them. Now he's kind of got to navigate this morally gray galaxy where he doesn't quite understand where they fit, like whose side are they on. And Rafa tells him, she's like, take it from me, you eventually pick a side, or like you always are going to end up taking a side one way or the other. And that's definitely foreshadowing there as far as like what they end up doing. But essentially, he gives them the tactical droid data, because he's like, you guys sound like you guys are going to do better things for it, or you're going to use it to help people. And then on the Martinez sisters ship, they comm a hidden figure that they do not show us completely. And I'm pretty sure they reference it as he or him.
So that's what,
he or him. So it makes it not Ahsoka, but Ahsoka would be the most likely person that they are working with. But I think it's Captain Rex, because Captain Rex would be with Ahsoka, and then that would be the closest him or he to Ahsoka. So I think that might be Captain Rex, because as we see in Rebels, there's just this is a very early version of that, basically growing network of just people working against the Empire. So I'm not right. I'm pretty sure that would be Rex. I'm not sure who else I think it might be. Did you have any ideas?
No, see, that's what, when they said him, that's why I wasn't sure, because I did some looking at, that they were attached to Ahsoka and stuff. So then for the stuff I don't know for Clone Wars and Rebels, that's what I was like, I haven't, wouldn't know who. And we kind of, we're talking about Sid. I don't think we mentioned. She says something to Hunter, I believe, or is it before about a Jedi came asking her stuff too. At some point, was looking for information. I'm pretty sure she said
to Bib.
So it was it's just somebody. I'm not sure if it's him or Hunter at the moment. God damn it. She said, I think she just briefly mentions about like a Jedi coming looking for information too. So I wasn't sure if that could be the same Jedi or who it would be at this point in the timeline and stuff. And then with Ahsoka, instead, I don't know as much. So, like you said, Captain Rex is close to her, but I don't know who else would be for that.
I do remember,
because I don't think they like really. She doesn't go into who and stuff. Because then I remember thinking and I'm like, well, what Jedi would she be?
Yeah, it would be Ahsoka more or less. At least in like Filoni's arc, I can't imagine it. It would be, it would be Ahsoka who it would have to be. But yeah, I think that was probably Captain Rex. I'll be surprised though if it wasn't, and like who it might be. But this is another kind of like, this is where they finally tie the past like few episodes forward into they're foreshadowing essentially this eventuality where everything's going to kind of connect back up, because they are still kind of, these are like half filler episodes. Did we really need to see like the backstory on the Rancor? No, but it was fun. It was a mission, and that kind of established the whole Sid thing. And then now the Martinez sisters are pulled in the loop. I was surprised to see them get pulled in, at least so directly, because I mean they're so fresh off of season 7 of Clone Wars that just came out like 2 years ago, or it came out when Disney Plus launched, so that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, because there wasn't a whole lot new on when it launched.
Right. Yeah. So so I was surprised, but also glad to see them directly tied in, and this just kind of continues. Like Filoni is like really tightly tying this narrative, this Filoni-verse together through this post Clone Wars era.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you mentioned it. Like I said, when I was looking stuff up, they mentioned that the sisters have Ahsoka's droid at the end, don't they? Isn't one of the droids Ahsoka's?
So I was reading about that. R7.
I was going to ask you because I was like, so they gotta be in contact with her still. If that is her droid.
Yeah, so I looked that up because I was curious too, and essentially this says R7, the Martinez's droid, changes color between scenes.
Yeah.
He is first green, white, red paint job, which is that of Ahsoka's astromech, but then becomes orange and black in the second scene.
I did, when I was looking stuff up, I saw that too. So that's what I wasn't sure if it actually was or not. But
yeah, I can't say it. It probably is, maybe, because I don't think they had an astromech. I don't know how it would be Ahsoka's either, because so much happens between the last time Ahsoka saw the Martinez sisters in season 7 of the Clone Wars, and then this. Obviously, all of Order 66 happens, and that's just like a mess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know how too much hinges on that, but I think they're definitely in league with Ahsoka and Captain Rex is somewhere here.
Yeah, when I saw that they had her droid, that's why I was like, well, it might not be, but I thought it was just a clue to let you know, like, okay, like she's going to be coming, to the story eventually. So,
yeah. So, yeah, this was episode 6, 5 and 6. There's 14. So we are at the halfway point next episode, which is still a pretty tall hill to climb. I mean, halfway through, we have 14 episodes. So trying to think, like, I think we're going to have definitely another Sid episode. And this is kind of be I feel like the next episode or two, but probably the next episode is going to be the episode where, unless they just fill us in, like just do a filler episode next, but edge to it. But it's going to be where Sid kind of shows her true colors. Is she going to sell them out? Is she going to help them out? That's kind of like the two ways that's going to go.
Yeah.
Is Fennec going to show back up? That, will that happen? I don't think we're going to see the Martinez sisters or who they were talking to play out until later. maybe like 3 or 4 episodes from now as we get into the final arc. So we essentially we're probably like 4 arcs ish here. So we had like the first 3 episodes. We have the 3 that we're kind of working on here. And we're about to do another, 6 or 7. So I think we still have more Sid episodes here, more missions, but they're really going to start linking together hopefully soon here. Because they're definitely putting out a lot of feelers. And like you said, like we haven't seen Crosshair. We haven't seen that whole, even like really the Empire, like the whole first arc of this, the whole first 3 episodes has kind of like been very missing.
So too, when like I said, when I was reading stuff a little bit ago and I had saw kind of a theory, and when you say you're pretty sure it's Captain Rex. Now he was able to not be controlled by a chip, right? So, because if that's the case, I'm thinking next episode, Wrecker's probably the chip's going to take him, and they're going to try to get Wrecker to Captain Rex to help with the chip, if that's the case. Yeah,
because Rex basically got his surgically removed mid Order 66, which is a pretty cool. It's the last 4 episodes of season 7 of the Clone Wars. I would say just go watch those. Just go watch season 7 of the Clone Wars, because it back ties directly to all this. But yeah, Rex is able to get his removed. There's a handful of clones that get them removed. Echoes is destroyed essentially because he's just so messed up. And there's a few other clones that are able to get them removed and stuff. They kind of set that up in Rebels, but Rebels was the first time they were kind of like, Rex a thing. Rex got his removed. Then they like backtrack and they release season 7 of the Clone Wars, and then they basically show how that happened. So these are all definitely things that are in play. So it definitely, it's fun to see Filoni because he did the Clone Wars, he did Rebels. So this is now what sits between those 2 things. So there's a lot of stringing together he's doing.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go back and watch those ones this week before the new one comes out. I definitely I like the Sid thing here. I like the little missions and all that kind of stuff. But definitely interested to see like what pace they decide to pick up, going into the second half of the season. Because at the very least with her, I'm curious to see, like, even if she's in her own dilemma where she doesn't know if she wants to give him up or not, who is that person coming to her, making her. So I think there's a lot of good things coming. And it's definitely, for me, like, it's definitely getting back into Star Wars and stuff like it, I think it's good.
That's a good thing. That's good. That you made me think. Sid doesn't know Fennec is after Omega. No, because she's working direct. Because she was like, you guys must have you must be valuable. She doesn't realize Fennec's only after Omega.
That's what I thought too. That it was funny that she didn't point out Omega. That she said, you guys must be,
Yeah, so she is very much in the dark. So she definitely hasn't been prompted with that moral dilemma, whether it's like, because if she knew exactly why, she probably would already have taken like a stance on it or not be working with them. But she doesn't really know why. So they're just like an interesting group, and she knows that they're useful and probably to keep them close because it's going to come into play for her. Hopefully, and she's hoping it comes, it's an advantage to her. It's just smart for her to keep them around because she knows there's something up with these guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's definitely, And like I said, when she mentioned that a Jedi came for information, for me, I was like, well, who and what information, Because I kind of thought, I was like, well, maybe they know of Omega. Like a clone of a Jedi or something, but don't know what she would look like or anything like that. So maybe people know they're looking for Omega, but don't realize it is Omega.
Yeah.
That, what they're looking for.
Well, she was a Jedi informant in the Clone Wars, so she might have been referring to that then.
Okay.
Unless you, I don't remember her saying that post, but like she might have been like, just explaining like her working with the Jedi prior.
Yeah, I might have just confused that then.
Yeah,
that, like, I took it as like someone was there, kind of recent, looking for information.
Right.
I probably just misinterpreted that.
I don't know. I don't remember it like that, but I wonder if that is the case. If that was mentioned like that, and I just didn't pick up on it because that would probably mean Ahsoka.
Yeah.
But interesting. I mean, you got anything else? I mean, these are pretty clean episodes, nothing too crazy.
No,
good
exactly.
fun though.
I like the Rancor, and like I said, I think Omega. Obviously, we still learn about Hort, and then I said Wrecker. He seemed to definitely be those the two to focus on as far as characters in those two. So
she's gonna hit him with the energy bow right between the eyes and like knock him out. She's gonna take Wrecker down.
Yeah, that's gonna have to be, I think, right, because they're showing you what Wrecker did. He's the only one that can beat the Rancor. So I think we'll finally get to see some kind of either, like you said, with the bow, or something we're not expecting. But I wouldn't be surprised if Omega is the one to take down Wrecker when it finally has to happen.
I think she's gonna shoot him with the bow, and Tech and Echo are gonna school bus him, and he's just gonna fall over them, and then he's just gonna like tumble down a hill. Yeah. He's gonna be angry. Then they have to like if your theory pans out and they have to get him to Rex, they're gonna have to some way like sedate him or restrain him for travel because he's just gonna be like a ball of rage.
And I think that would be a nice scene in the in the what's the murder or whatever.
Yeah,
but
cool.
Yeah, I think it'll be in the middle of a mission or something like on the ship, and it'll, you know what I mean, and kind of just be out of control. But I think definitely if it's not next episode, I'd say the one after Wrecker.
Okay.
Will probably be who they gotta stop.
That was my next question. Like, how far when do you think that will be where Wrecker has his imminent breakdown?
I would say if it's not this one, it's the next one. Because I think before it's over, he eventually says the whole line, doesn't he? Or did he?
I think he just cut it off and he passed out. Yeah.
Then if it's not the next one, then I'd say it would be part of probably the mid-season finale. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then that would probably be not like they're going to take time off, but that would be a good spot to me where they're like, there's only one guy we know or whatever.
Yeah.
Where we got to get him. And then Rex would kind of be the second half premiere, episode 9 or 10, whatever that would be, to take this story.
Definitely exciting.
Yeah.
Definitely enjoying it.
Yeah, me too. It's easy watch. It's like,
right.
Like I said, it's nice because like the last time, like we said, the last movies they put out, I did not get into them. It kind of took me out of Star Wars, but this feels like Star Wars, and it's not,
Yeah, and this is what Clone Wars and Rebels were. Short episodes, fun episodes. They don't require a lot of you, but they throw just enough in there to kind of keep it all going and make it very much Star Wars, and that's what Filoni's really good at. And I mean, this is holding up well. Like,
yeah,
even though the past 3, I guess categorically could be considered filler.
Yeah,
they're not still. Like, they're still very much in the way that, like, if you really want filler, you would go back to like Clone Wars season 1. Like that got really heavy on like just filler episodes.
Yeah, but I mean, especially with these new, characters you're not used to. You've got to connect to them, right? You've got to make people connect to them. Sometimes you can have a good story, it can go, but if you don't connect to the characters, it won't hit with everybody.
Yeah, and especially the fact that this might only be a one season thing, just because. I don't know if it's still going to be the Bad Batch. I think it's going to be like maybe half of the Bad Batch at best. Like, it's just that we're going to have a Rogue One situation on our hands. Like, they're not going to make it.
Yeah.
I mean, even Omega, like, there's not. That's the one trick with Star Wars is there's only so much room you have in like a forward going basis, and this is even more tighter because Rebels is near and dear after this, some time. But as far as like shows, movies, content, like Clone Wars, Bad Batch, Rebels, and none of these characters are in Rebels. So it's going to be sad.
I think so. And like you said, Ro, I would not be surprised if the ultimate, sacrifice has to be made.
Yeah. We will see. But for now, I think that is all we have. We do appreciate everyone tuning in. Mike for his comment here. Obviously, we will be back next Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern. We shouldn't skip anymore. I think Memorial Day was just like a weird occurrence, and it played out in our favor just because these episodes were so fitting together.
I'd say July 4th is a Sunday.
All right. Summertime. These are the unforeseen troubles of a companion series in the summertime.
I was looking at my calendar a little bit ago, and I was like, that's a Sunday too. So
yeah, we might double up on that one too. Hopefully they go together well.
By then, that's a month away, so we'd be pretty much into Act 3 by then, right?
Yeah. It's moving right along.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll have to look at the calendar. We might announce that we're doing that.
Yeah.
We'll better plan it this time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, everyone have a good night. Be sure to tune in this Thursday for a nice general what's playing with Mike and Chad, and I will be talking about what we've been playing recently. I will be talking about Star Wars as a precursor, amongst other things. So if you like Star Wars, if you like gaming, and if you just in general like gaming, tune into that. That's always a good time. But until then, we do what we do, and this was the Bad Batch campaign series, and I hope you all have a really good night.
Yep.
We are out. Where's that music? Play the music. Play the music.